discuss how this is likely to pan out, let's get in Peter Viggo, who's a defense analyst, joining us from Denmark. He's a defense analyst with the Royal Danish Defence College. Thanks much, Peter, for speaking to us. We here in India are wondering exactly what is happening in Greenland. We are seeing the headlines every day, news of when, if, and how soon Donald Trump is actually going to invade Greenland. What are your thoughts?
Well, you started out by pointing out that Trump is now threatening to put tariffs on the countries that are now sending a small contingent of soldiers to Greenland in an attempt to signal to the United States that it would be a very bad idea to attack Greenland. So in a sense, that's a positive thing, that he's moved away from threatening to use force, and now he's threatening tariffs instead. That may be problematic for Trump, because if he imposes tariffs on an EU country, then the EU as a united actor is obliged to retaliate by putting tariffs on the United States. So basically he's now, warming up to a trade war with the entire EU.
Now that's significant. A trade war with the EU is likely. We in India are already facing additional tariffs. We have been singled out for no reason whatsoever. We have a new ambassador here, and there's a lot of expectation that the India-US relationship will probably recover. But I want to understand from you, in this madness, do you see any method, or are you also bracing for what's going to happen next because there's complete unpredictability?
Well, yes, it is certainly not easy to predict what Trump will be doing next. But on the other hand, as you also pointed out in your analysis of the reason why Trump has now backed away from attacking Iran, he's usually in it for quick wins. And when he encounters stiff opposition and something that might impose significant costs on the United States, he has a tendency and a history of backing down. So we are sort of hoping that that will happen over Greenland too, because what we are now seeing is a more or less united European response to
very interesting what you said. You expect Donald Trump to back down when he's talking to his MAGA base and saying Greenland has to come anyway, either diplomatically or by force?
He has backed down on a number of occasions already, and you see that with the Ukraine. He has again and again told the EU and also Ukraine to accept a Russian-imposed peace. Mm-hmm. And each time the Europe and Ukraine has come together and said no, and then they have offered a counter peace proposal, which Trump then immediately has accepted, even though he knows that that's completely unacceptable to Russia, and that's why his peace efforts in the Russian-Ukraine war is going nowhere. And so therefore it's not unthinkable that he might adopt the same situation here.
Peter, you've raised a very important point that, there have been U-turns. We ourselves, I just told our viewers as well on what happened in Iran. So there have been multiple U-turns. Who knows what Donald Trump will do going forward. But don't forget, he's only going to be celebrating his first year in office. He has 3 more years left. He has a lot of this unfinished agenda. And there is a sense that he has to work and continue to appeal to his core MAGA base. So he cannot back down till he achieves some of these objectives.
No, but sometimes he just declares victory and moves on, even though everybody else can see that's not a victory. I mean, he is already... Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at his new national security strategy, he says he has stopped war in 8 places, and quite a few of these places war continues. He also says that he has ended the Iranian nuclear program, which is by all that we can tell, clearly not the case. So it may be possible to devise a compromise that he can call a win and then move on. Because the great thing about Greenland is that the United States already has military control over Greenland. There are no Russian ships. There are no Chinese ships. So he can easily, at some point declare victory and move on. And that's, of course, what we are hoping for in Europe.
Mm-hmm. So what will be his version of victory is what I'm going to ask you, Peter. But very quickly, what do you think will be Donald Trump's way to get out of this by declaring to his core constituency that he came out as a winner? America came out as a winner.
Well, if he ends up negotiating a mineral deal with the Greenlandic government in the same way that he negotiated a mineral deal with the Ukrainian government, he could call that a victory. And if NATO puts in more troops in Greenland or conducts more exercises, he can also call that a win, because he can say that he has pressed his European partners to carry the burden instead of the US, and therefore that's a fantastic deal for the United States.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Peter Viggo joining us live from Copenhagen, viewers, and that's really what it comes down to, whether there is method to this, whether there is complete madness, and is it now leading to mayhem across the world, is what Trump administration's recent moves make us wonder.